once you can take responsibility for where you are in the business, and if you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out to me, reach out to Albert, reach out to John, reach out to people for help on how to work your way out of the position of struggling. Like, I've been up and down this roller coaster so many times over the last 2 years.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. I'm very happy to be joined in studio this week. Special guest, Sam. You prefer Sam or Samuel?
I just go by Sam.
Okay, Sam Hanke, one of the genuinely nicest guy in all of FFL. We got co-host John Backron.
How we doing?
We got Bryce producing behind the scenes here.
And
so we're gonna start because Sam, too much to our benefit and to Trey's chagrin, he actually moved out from the high desert and actually moved out into what city?
Fullerton.
City of Fullerton. So moved into Orange County, which is nearby here in Los Angeles County, here in Gardena. He hit me up one day on direct message me and just said like, hey, can I come to your office? And I'm like, yeah, of course he can come to the office. And he's like, oh, I should move down. I'm like, awesome. So then he came in, we chatted up a little bit. And then he just going to be working out of this office from time to time, obviously we can work remotely. He's still going to the field, but just one of these guys that I'm genuinely happy to be able to have more association with, because we've been trying to get him on a podcast for a while, but I recognize it was a bit of a trek to come from the high desert. That would have been like what, 3 hours, 2-3 hours,
2-3 hours, depending on traffic. Yeah.
Especially if you leave in the morning.
Yeah.
But Sam's actually one of the top producers within the company. He helps over 40 families a month. He's got a really simple process, and he actually was at the LA Sales Conference a few weeks ago. So we got a chance to catch up at that point and got a chance to hear his training, and I thought it was like really fantastic stuff. So I just wanted to make sure that we were able to share this on a broader platform with more people, so people can get a chance to learn and apply whatever they can from this type of training. But before we get started with everything, I guess, you would probably agree with me, John. Sam here, every time we've seen him at national convention, we see him at conferences, see him around just at different events, he always has a really happy, positive disposition. Always very upbeat. Always really, really, really pleasant to talk to. He's got a great attitude. So, I mean, obviously, the question that begs to be asked here is, you must have all the secret leads. And you must have some type of unfair advantage in order for you to be in a position to be helping 40 families and always have a positive outlook. Correct? True or false?
False. But I'll tell you, thank you for having me on, and thanks for inviting me on. And you guys were some of the first people I got to meet in the business at my first meetings, and you guys were very, very welcoming and very nice. So I appreciate it. And thank you guys for having me on. It's an honor, Yeah. And so what you said about the leads, no, I don't have the secret leads.
But you have a secret system. You obviously be getting all kinds of help for you to be this happy all the time.
Well, dude, no secret system. A lot of it is one thing I've learned, because I've gone through the ups and downs in the business and the roller coaster. And one thing I've learned is that your mind can either be your greatest weapon and your greatest ally in being an entrepreneur and doing this business, or it can be your greatest enemy. And I've had lots of times where it's both, where I struggle with it, where it's my best friend, and then I struggle with it where it's like I'm my own worst enemy. So I've learned the skills needed in order to manage that. And I've also kind of came to a place in the business where I can figure out how to make it work for me and what I want to do.
That's good.
Yeah. And obviously I'm joking because, well, it is true. Every time I see you, you're upbeat, you got nothing but positive things to say, which me being this experience and John being this experience, we know, people go through their ups and downs, but for the people that actually continue to push forward and actually have a positive outlook on their situation, we just know this person has a real ability to be able to fix it. or they're really good at lying. But I mean, but sometimes it's a little bit of both, because the thing is, how we feel, and how we look at a certain situation, it definitely impacts our ability to be able to fix it. Right.
Yeah.
And and last time you were here, you mentioned that you're taking courses in theater.
Yeah. Yeah. I came down to study theater and do plays and audition and take acting classes.
Okay.
So
Do you, and we had someone else that's with a theater major back in college.
Yeah.
He's on our team. He's done really well. Mark Banks, shout out.
Micah too, I think.
Micah as well. Yes.
oh, cool.
So do you feel like that's helped your career here in sales?
Oh, dude, absolutely. Because I mean, it goes hand in hand. It's very similar. Like to be a successful actor, you have to deal with a lot of rejection. To be successful in sales and in business, you have to deal with a lot of and be comfortable with dealing with a lot of rejection. You get, you go through 40 no's to get one yes, and that has to be it has to be worth it for you to do it. So,
and regardless of how you're feeling deep down inside, the show must go on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like you assume a role, right? So you're assuming the underwriter role or the telesalesperson role, whether
Dude,
you're feeling great or not.
100%. I watched a podcast with Andrew Taylor, and he talked about how doing in-home presentations is like a play, because you're the thing that's consistent and you have your structure and your script for the in-home, but the audience is always going to be different.
Right.
It's going to be sitting in front of a different Bob or a different Mary or, like stuff like that. So I got excited when I heard that. I was like, oh, I can do this.
No, that's totally true. Because you never know how the person on the other end of the phone is going to react. I mean, you'll get a better idea over time because you've seen it more stuff. But overall, it's still kind of an individual. It's like a new audience every single time. You got to assume the role. Sometimes the role that we're just assuming is we're assuming the role of the person that kind of knows what they're doing, which doesn't always have to be true. But we're learning along the way, and just gotta keep putting ourselves out there, and that's how you get over it.
That's smart though. If you run the play, right, whether you know it or not, it can work out for you. How long have you been in insurance now?
Since March of 21, so about 2.5 years.
This is FFL is your first insurance, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's perfect segue. Let's take a step back. What'd you do before this? How'd you get into insurance? How's everything treated you up to this point?
Yeah, dude. So I started in March of 2021. I started off part-time. A buddy of mine used to work out of the Apple Valley office with Paul and Andrew. And he told me about it, and I said no. And then it kind of stewed in my brain for a month or two.
Why initially no?
I didn't believe I could do sales. Like I had no sympathy for salespeople, and it wasn't for me. I never thought about it. But what had gotten me to consider it was the fact that there were leads, and I didn't have to prospect or go door to door. So that opened up my idea to it. And I was already researching stuff like Forex investing and all these different types of ways to make additional income to my current part-time job.
Yeah. What were you doing before?
I was washing semi trucks in the Mojave Desert. Yeah. And I was going to school.
Okay.
So I was making around like $20,000 a year.
Okay.
Just part-time. So I was looking for something to increase my income. So I understood you need to invest money to make money. So it was just a matter of finding the right vehicle. And luckily I was blessed enough that someone told me about FFL. So
yeah, and that's kind of a important point. I mean, sometimes we're not going to convince people right away, but if we have an opportunity that we find value in, and we think others could possibly find that same type of value or maybe more, because I don't know, not everyone's cut out for certain parts of the business or their attitude is at that moment. But then there's other people out there who can potentially be better than you.
Right.
And that's always what I'm looking for.
And not just that. What did your buddy say to you? Like, what if we can say the same thing to somebody we know and find a Sam? What did your buddy say to you that got you like, okay, maybe.
What was his pitch?
Yeah. How did he pitch you?
Well, dude, we were just talking, and he had gotten me he had gotten me a job, and I just told him, I was like, hey man, I'm not making enough income. Like, and he just brought up that he used to sell insurance, and he's not here anymore. He wasn't even here. He was going to come back with me, and he was going to get his license again, and he never did. But no, dude, it's just simple of explaining like what it was. Like, hey, there's leads. We call them, we go see them, and the insurance carriers pay this much if they sign up for the policy, and you can make as much as you want, depending on how hard you're willing to work. He kept it very simple, and he sent me some websites to look at, and a few months later, I got my insurance license.
So he didn't sell you pie in the sky. Didn't say like, oh, it's so easy. You're gonna make a ton of money. And
no, he told me it was hard work.
That's
and
good.
Yeah, it's a business. So, but that's what made me want to do it. It wasn't, if he came on like that, I wouldn't be here today.
That's a good point for everyone to take, because I think sometimes we tend to oversell it.
Yeah.
And then I think it's important to be realistic about things with people. And yes, there's huge potential here, but you got to put in work. You got to invest in your business. You got to put in the work. If you don't do it, you don't make anything. So
yeah, I think selling it from an even standpoint and not overselling it, and then really selling the part about hard work, that's a good filter for a lot of people. Like, you don't want to bring in somebody that thinks they're going to make money immediately. Those are possible potential chargebacks or liabilities.
It's gonna be a headache to work with them too, because they're just like, oh, it's so hard.
And then they blame it back on you. You promised me the world. You promised I could work 1 day a week and make a lot of money.
Yeah, dude. And there's a learning curve to it, but honestly, once you get through the learning curve, we're really blessed to be able to do what we do, because hard work is subjective, right? If I'm out there washing semi trucks in the Mojave Desert, like, I do consider that harder labor compared to what we do here. What we do here, the hardest thing about it is the mindset. Like, it's just it took me a long time to remember this and to keep it cemented, but I've come to the realization that I don't sell insurance. People just buy it. And that's my whole goal every week when I'm booking appointments. I'm going to go see people is I can't control. There's certain things I can control, which is, of course, attitude and activity. And there's certain things I can't control, which is what people are going to say, whether people are going to sign up for insurance, whether they're going to keep their insurance or not, or whether or not they're going to be there when I show up for the appointment. But I can control how many I schedule, and I can control my mindset when I'm dialing and when I'm talking to people about insurance.
Okay. Well, that's a cool approach to look at. So if you're not selling insurance and people are buying it, what do you see your function as?
My function is to keep my schedule full, because a lot of times I've been very self-critical on myself in this business. Whether I fail or I get a no sale or a client doesn't show up for an appointment, I always criticize, or I'm very critical of myself, looking back like, oh, what could I have done better? What could I have tweaked, and what could I have adjusted?
You took it personal.
Taking it personal and thinking that I am making a severe mistake in something, when in reality, like, no, dude, that's not the case. You just ran 10 appointments this week. Like, you only talked to like 5 people. Like, you just need to get a full schedule. It's amazing what a poor salesperson can do when they have a full schedule.
Going back to your original story. So you got into insurance, and then what was like your first step after that? After you got your license, like what did you conceive of? Like, what's the next step for you?
Oh, dude. So I ran my first appointment. Elaine gave me her appointments one day, and I drove out there and got a speeding ticket on the way to my first appointment. And I wore a bow tie, and I wore a sweater vest, and I wore
on long sleeve student insurance salesman.
Student insurance salesman.
This was during the summer too?
This was during the summer, yeah.
In the desert.
And I drove to not Bakersfield, Palmdale.
Oh my god.
Lancaster. And I sold my first appointment, and they canceled it the next day. And I spent 3 hours at his home, so I took that personally.
Along with the drive front and back. Well, how many hours is that?
It was like an hour and a half from Victorville, so It was 3-hour drive for the day.
And you only had the one appointment?
I had 8, but I only sat like 2 because I didn't know what I was doing. I sat 3 hours in each home. At
least you had a full schedule.
Yeah, I had a full schedule though. And dude, as soon as that happened, dude, I fell in love. I fell in love with it because it was so much fun. I had a blast, and I looked at what Americo had paid, and I was just blown away. It just, it would usually take me months to make that kind of income working part time, and I did it with an appointment, so that was cool.
Yeah.
And I stayed part time for a few months, and it was all during COVID, and I was going to school at the time for film and theater, and I got into it. I got into insurance to make extra income to focus on that. And dude, I just got tired of school because it was all over Zoom, and I was going for production. So I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So I dropped out and I went full time in insurance. And I've been full time for 2.5 years since.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like ever since I've known you, you were doing this full time. So going back to your first appointment that you sold that took 3 hours. Now that you have a little bit of experience under your belt, could you have done anything different for that? I mean, should you have sold it in the first place? I mean, was it oversold? Like, why did they cancel the next day?
Oh, it was a one-legger. It was a one-legger appointment, and it was 3 hours because I had a crappy old laptop computer, and I had to connect to the guy's Wi-Fi, and then it took like hours to do the e-app because I had never filled one out before.
Right. Were you sweating the whole time?
Oh, I still sweat sometimes. But yeah, I was absolutely drenched in that bow tie and black sweater vest, and he made me do it outside.
Oh my God. So what was the reason he canceled? Do I find out?
I was too scared to call him back.
Oh, you never followed
I
up?
never followed up after he canceled it. I was too scared.
I mean, 2.5 years of experience. You should call him back now, right?
Oh yeah, I should call him back now. I should go door knock him actually.
Yeah, man, and get the wife in too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, going back to that real quick. I mean, did anyone tell you not to do one-legged presentation?
I don't remember, dude. I don't think so. Well, I'm sure it was probably in one of the videos, but I was so nervous I didn't know what to do.
Okay. Well, for all the new agents out there that are watching, why don't you do a one-legged presentation? By one-legged, we mean if there's a spouse, like we should do our best to try to get both of them there because it affects them. But
why should we not?
Yeah, what are the reasons not to?
Dude, the wife's the beneficiary. You're not there for the husband. You're there for the wife. They're going to cover each other. So they both need to be there because in order to really build value and build a why and have it cemented, you need both of them there. Because it's hard to ask you, Albert, hey, what does life look like for your spouse if you're not here tomorrow?
Can't paint the picture.
You can't really paint the picture. But if your spouse was here, your spouse could say, oh, I don't know what I would do. And then that really is super important when it comes to the presentation. It's getting that spouse to explain what life would look like.
Or to see their visceral reaction.
Right.
Yeah.
To that moment. Because like if the husband's like, I don't care what happens. It's like, I mean, even if they don't buy, at least I created an argument when I leave here.
Yeah.
Made the guy decide without the wife.
Any other reasons? You got anything to add?
Yeah, decision-making process is the biggest thing. If you're selling a policy and it's coming out of a joint account or a family account, and only one person made that decision without the wife, that's where the beef and the fight's happening. How come you made this decision without telling me? I run the house. So now you get the argument, right? And in worst case, if it's a one-legged same gender, now you're really in trouble. Or opposite gender, right? Let's say you're a female agent, you sold the husband, now the wife's not around. Or vice versa, you're the male agent, you sold the wife, husband didn't know about it. Who's this guy you were talking to without me? All these things can happen.
Yeah, I think when agents try to shortcut it, and so I mean, at least begs the question, because sometimes once in a while people will be like, I make all the decisions anyway, and that's fine. I don't need my spouse to be there, which half the time they're probably lying.
Yeah,
or they're overconfident, and it's not actually the case.
And then you will get those cancellations later. Yes, I told my wife. Yeah, she didn't like it.
Right. No, I've had people cancel that way because I had someone swear up and down the street. They're like, no, I make all decisions, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. And then I presented and then I sold them and then I got a cancellation. And I'm like, what happened? And then they're like, oh yeah, my wife said she didn't want to keep it. And I'm like, and really what it comes down to is like, maybe the wife really did need it and it really was going to help her. It was really actually going to help her anyway. But the thing is like, we didn't give her the respect of allowing her to have the buy-in to give
Yeah.
her buy-in in that situation. So all they see is the price on the statement.
Yep.
They don't see the actual value of what the coverage actually entails. So like,
Yeah.
messed ourselves up.
And that's,
It wasn't sold to her.
yeah, and that's even if we get that far. Most of the time, it's always going to be like, okay, I need to talk to my wife. Thanks for the quotes.
Or that's even more frustrating because then like you go through they're like, no, I make all the decisions. I don't need to talk to her. Blah blah blah. You get to the thing. They're like, all right, I'll look at these options. I'll call you back. I'm just going to talk to my wife. It's like, bro, what did you?
When you are a new agent too, you're like, oh man, I'm already here. I drove out here. I need to make a sale. I want to make a sale. All right, let's try it.
And then you can walk out like this.
What could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's kind of a funny situation. All right, so this past month you helped over 40 families.
Yes, 45 in June.
Congrats.
Didn't want to
Thanks.
shortchange
Sorry. Yeah.
Were you?
It's always hard to say that because you don't want to sound like arrogant, but
Yeah, but you earned it.
Man.
Thanks, man.
Well, the reason why I put 40 because you were on a podcast earlier this week. The guy that everyone mistakes me for. Stephen Yee and Sky Points. So you got a chance. You're a busy week for you, but yeah. So 45. Like how does an agent go about doing that?
Yeah, dude. Well, I think as much as it was running a full schedule and running the numbers, I also think a lot of it had to do with mindset and then setting like goals for yourself. And a lot of like planning for the day before. Well, because to go through it for you, Albert, April I helped maybe 15 families.
Okay.
May I helped maybe 13 families.
Okay.
And dude, what a lot of it was is I came to this realization in business that I was chasing a lot of things that I didn't get into business for. So I was chasing things like, oh man, I want to be Hall of Fame producer. I want to build a huge team. I want to get to VP. I want all these things. And it was, dude, part of it was like, I was working so hard for these things that weren't the reason why I got into the business. And I was hitting points like stumbling blocks where I was starting to become resentful of the business. And I was just like, I looked at myself and I was like, over a course of the year I had gained, or over the course of the last 2 years, I gained like 40 pounds. I put on the insurance weight. And
it's like the freshman 15 in insurance.
I never worked out, and I was like, dude, why am I doing what am I stopped acting. I dropped out of school and I just started chasing money, and there was no strong reason why. And I was like, dude, I got into insurance to just make some extra income to where I can work a little bit less and focus on things I love to do, like acting, theater, storytelling, stuff like that. So I came to this point in business where I was like, okay, I'm, all that to say, if Hall of Fame is your goal and you're passionate about it, do it. You should do it. That's great. That's just not why I got into insurance to, build a business. I got into insurance to make a little bit of extra income.
So what made you decide I'm going to go for Hall of Fame?
Well, dude, insurance for me was going to be a means to an end. And somewhere along the lines, I got the opportunity is great. The opportunity of what you're able to do here is amazing. It's wonderful. But it doesn't fuel my passion. I'm not I love helping families. I really, really do it. It's fun and I'm blessed to do it. It's not something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Sure.
But that was that was all I was doing all the time. It was only about work, and I was sacrificing a lot of time with family, a lot of time doing fun stuff, you know what I mean? And I just realized, dude, I'm 23. Like if I don't give it a shot at something that I love to do, like acting, I'm going to regret it. And I can always come back and build a business or do that too. You know what I mean? But it was just like, it wasn't even to a point where it was a goal that I was working on. It was something I idolized, like in an unhealthy way, unhealthy to the point where I like stopped doing the things that really made me like happy, like going to the gym, all this. And that's an excuse on my behalf of not doing it. But
I mean, I can understand because there's always that chase of the work-life balance, and you felt a little unbalanced chasing accolades now.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing is it wasn't work life. It was chasing accolades and chasing money.
Yeah. I mean, when I asked why'd you start chasing Hall of Fame, I mean, trust me, I mean, I'm not knocking that at all. I think it's a really huge, significant achievement. And I think it'll make you a lot of money along the way.
Yes.
But the thing is, the question we all have to ask ourselves is like, why am I doing it? Like, what's the real reason?
I didn't have a good answer, Albert. I didn't have a good answer. Yeah, so that's what made me feel like I didn't have meaning in what I was doing.
Yeah.
So that's what made me miserable.
Yeah, it's a conflict in your identity at that point.
So dude, April and May, I just slugged. My sales were cut down. I just was, I was broke because I wasn't writing enough insurance. But dude, once I started making moves towards what I love to do, all of a sudden insurance became like I found this mojo, and it made me excited for insurance again. It made me excited to go make dials. It made me excited to go talk to families about insurance. Dude, what I remember during this whole time is like, this business is so much fun when we're dialing leads to book appointments to go talk to families about insurance. It's fun when we're talking to families about insurance. The only time it's never not fun is when we don't have leads.
That sucks.
We're not having appointments on the calendar, and we consistently enough, and we're not talking to people about insurance.
Right. Yeah. Empty schedule hurts.
Empty schedule hurts because you start thinking too much.
So we were talking earlier. You said you actually said, I mean, for as well as you've done here in your short period of time, and then you've helped over 45 families last month. But 6 months ago, you thought about quitting, right?
Yeah, dude. 2 months ago, I thought about quitting.
So
last week, I thought about quitting.
So it's an ongoing battle.
Oh, it's always an ongoing battle. And I think the biggest things that have helped me with that is having a community, talking to agents, and having the right mindset, and just consistently running the numbers every single week. So I think that's one of the biggest parts of it.
Okay. So to achieve 45, I mean, how much do you spend on leads? Like, what type of leads do you work? Give us a breakdown.
So I've been doing IVR mortgage protection leads from Mid-Atlantic.
Okay.
And
what's IVR?
So IVR, it's a regular mortgage protection mailer that gets sent out, but instead of the client having to fill it out and mail it back, it's just a postcard. It's a postcard they call in off of, and they get into an IVR automated robot system, and it says something along the lines of, John, you may qualify for low cost mortgage protection plan, and same old thing. And instead of having to fill it out and mail it back, they only type in their phone number, or they type in
It's
and
more
answer.
high-tech.
Yeah, it's a little more high tech.
Like activating a credit card kind of thing.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. And then some leads, as soon as they call in, they hang up because they don't want to talk to a robot. Some of them fill it out, send it back in. But either way, it's a lead.
Okay.
So the cost per lead on these, it's lower than regular mortgage protection. It's usually ends up being between about
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and the interest level is similar to not necessarily a filled out mortgage protection lead. All the numbers work the same, but it's very similar to like a final expense or anything like that.
So I mean, you work mortgage now, but you've worked final expense. You've worked all different types of leads.
I still work final expense, and I still work internet data too.
Do you find like a major difference between final expense and mortgage?
Dude, so the only difference with mortgage and final expense is that the mortgage leads have a loan. Final expense, they're usually just looking for burial insurance. So it's pretty much a lead is a lead is a lead, and they're all pretty much the same type of client. Like, because I'll have final expense people looking for something to protect their equity. I'll have mortgage people not necessarily worried about their loan, looking for something for more permanent, like burial or whatever.
Yeah, because we often get that from agents. They're like, only these type of leads work, and this person is the top producer because they use this type of leads and blah blah blah. And I'm always like, I don't know. I mean, like, you kind of get what you pay for. So I mean, I think mortgage leads are more expensive. You'll probably get a higher premium because the nature of what they need to cover is a little bit more.
Yeah, because they have a loan, so usually they do have income. But dude, I mean, I have mortgage clients that get a loan and their mortgage payment is like, or say their income is like $4,000 a month. Their mortgage payment is $3,800.
Yeah, I've seen those.
I'm like, dude, how do you even afford this house? Like, you need this.
It's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, I've seen that because sometimes people do get, there's VA loans, like they don't put a down payment in it, and then they just try to figure out their monthly payment. And I'm all like, one, you're this age, you're that old, and you have a brand new 30-year mortgage. How do I sell you this?
Yeah, dude.
We'll figure it out later. It's always a good strategy. Okay, so then working the mortgage leads. What can you run through your phone script for us?
Yeah. Hey, Albert.
Yes.
Hey, Albert. This is Sam. I'm just getting back to you about the mortgage protection. It was for the 123 Main Street here in Fullerton. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think this is the thing I called in for.
Yeah, that's no problem. I'm just a field underwriter. I was the guy assigned to get the information back out to you later. It's just the insurance to pay off the loan if you pass away, become disabled. I'll put a quick note because I know you're busy. Everything's non-medical, so you don't have to do a health exam. They just have me set up a time to ask you some basic health questions. Are you working full-time during the day, Al, or are you retired?
I'm working.
Okay, awesome. And then were you married or single?
Single.
Okay. We do everything virtually over Zoom or FaceTime. Takes about 10 or 15 minutes to go through the options for you. Do you know what time you're typically home from work during the day, either on Fridays or Saturdays?
After 5.
After 5? Okay. I don't have anything right at 5, but I do have a 6 or a 7 tomorrow. Which one works better for you?
7.
Okay, perfect. Go grab a pen and paper, Al.
Okay.
Okay, I'll have you write down. My name is Sam. This is for the mortgage protection. Do you have a iPhone, Al, or an Android?
Of course, an iPhone. Who has an Android?
Yeah, I know. No worries. Have you ever used FaceTime before?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll give you a FaceTime call tomorrow evening. What time you say work best?
7.
7. Okay, cool. I'll give you a call around 7. And they have me seeing about like 10 families tomorrow. Is there any reason you won't be home around 7?
No, I should be home by then.
All right. Awesome, Al. I'll give you a call then.
All right. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, anything to help support the algorithm so we can continue to bring you more valuable content and continue to be part of your lives. Also, if you don't feel that it's providing you that much support since you're already at this point, like and subscribe anyway. No, they don't always go that smoothly, right?
No, they don't.
Yeah. So what do you do when you call and they're like, I don't remember filling anything out?
Hey, that's no problem, Al. That's why I'm calling. Mortgage protection is just the insurance with your loan to help pay off the property or protect the equity in the event you passed away or become disabled. I'm just the field underwriter assigned to go through it for you. I'll put a quick note because I know you're busy.
How much does this cost?
That's why I was calling, Albert. Everything's non-medical and there's like 30 different insurance carriers. They just have me set up a time to ask you the health questions so we can get the options sent out to you that you can qualify for.
I think I already have some insurance.
Perfect, Al. That's why I'm calling. I'm assuming since you already have some insurance, you were just shopping around to see what these rates were. I'll go ahead. I'll put a note here for you. My job's just to get the information out to you, and what you do with it's up to you. That makes sense?
Yep.
Now you're only booking in Zoom or FaceTime. So what if they ask, why can't you just tell me on the phone?
I'll do a telephone appointment if they don't want to do a Zoom or FaceTime. I just don't give them the option at first. Just because I prefer to do it over Zoom or FaceTime. That way it can give still face to face connection a bit.
Smart.
So yeah.
Have you tried just straight telesales?
Yeah.
And you notice a difference between virtual and a virtual with face, virtual online and straight telephone?
It's the same thing. I kind of like it because I can still connect with the client a little bit more over Zoom or FaceTime. So it's just a preference on my end. But regular phone appointments work too.
Is this only for mortgage protection, or do you do the same thing for
same thing for final expense?
Okay.
Final expense, I'll try to include a little bit of more one call closes. I'm not great at them, and I prefer the structure of booking appointments. But I do notice overall my show ratio for virtual is between 50 to 60% typically. So I always try to book a little bit more, especially if I'm running final expense, just because typically clients are a little bit older.
Yeah.
So
they might have their, government phones or metro phones.
Yeah, dude. So
they got 3 messages, like they can't even figure out how to check their text while talking to you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
So I had a follow-up question for that. Lost my train of thought with this Obama phone talk.
You're in the mortgage protection with objections on booking the appointment.
Yeah, but I had a follow-up question for that specific point. When you were going out in person for your appointments, did you notice is there a big difference in terms of show ratio versus virtual and telesales?
Dude, my show ratio was the same when I was booking over Zoom and FaceTime compared to driving to people's houses. Like my show ratio, at best, I guess it was 70%, but it's always averaged 60%. So, some weeks is a little bit lower, some weeks higher. But my average has always been 60%. So I just always had to remember, okay, I just got to get more appointments because I know only 60% are going to show up.
So, that might be because, you trained on telephone booking appointments last time. And I think it's because of your solidification, your tie down and telling them to grab a piece of paper, write down your name. You make them repeat the time again to you. I think for a lot of people I talk to, they're like, oh yeah, when I switched over from in-home to doing it virtual and telesales, like, you got double your appointments or triple or quadruple your appointments because the show ratio is significantly lower. And I personally don't know because I don't like to book appointments. Like our old one of our former bosses was like, he's like, I never to get a no show. Don't have any appointments, just show up.
Yeah.
Right. So if I get people on the phone, I just try to do one call close.
That's cool.
So it's just a matter of follow up, when they don't decide on the spot. Or if it's one-legged. Because
sometimes you'll get them on the phone and then they're like, oh, I'm actually at work right now. Can you call me back? And then, you're like, yeah, sure. When's a good time for you? They're like, well, I'm off at 4. I'm like, cool. Call 4, ghost.
Yep. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
And that's just a natural part of it.
So even with the same show ratio, then for you to do the 45 families, what's your regular weekly appointments then?
Yeah. So I was running about 30 to 35 appointments every single week, and I'm sitting about 60% of them. So I was typically getting between 15 to 20 sits.
Okay.
And then out of my presentations, I was closing about, if I sat 15, I would close between 8 to 12. Sometimes a little bit less. My closing ratio is a little bit less virtually versus in person, but I'm fine with that. I'll just run more.
Right.
I'm cool with it.
You're saving the time on the drive.
Saving the time on the drive. And if I get no-showed, I got an hour. I can book 2 or 3 more appointments for tonight or the next day. So.
And you don't need to be sweating in a sweater vest and a bow tie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're doing this throughout the United States, right? Not just California.
Yeah. So I'm doing it across the country. So I have like 20 to 25 non-resident licenses that I've been working with. So
what's the earliest time frame for someone working in California? What's the earliest time frame that you start? Because of course you're dialing Central, you're dialing Mountain, you're dialing Eastern.
Oh, dude, I used to do like the 5 a.m. dial sessions.
Yeah.
But until like 9 p.m. But dude, I got burnt out doing that. So I'm just like, dude, I'd rather wake up, start dialing 7:30, 8 a.m.
Mhm.
Well, wake up, hit the gym first, then start dialing.
Okay.
And then I dial in time blocks. So I'll dial for like 4-hour time blocks. So 8 to 12, I'm dialing, take a break, hop back on the phones at 2 or 3, dial till the job's done. And I always set activity based goals. I don't really set number based goals. So or sales based goals. I always set, hey, minimums. I want to work 40 hours this week. So I'm going to book, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to make at least a minimum of 500 phone calls for the week.
Okay.
Or I'm going to run 30 appointments minimum.
So to book 30 appointments, how many calls do you need to make in a day? And you do,
Usually,
I'm assuming you do twice a week.
Yeah.
for
So
those.
usually to get to 15 appointments, it's going to take between 300 to 400 dials typically in
And
a
then
day.
take a step back on that to get you those appointments. How many leads do you need to dial? Fresh leads, because you're doing this weekly consistently.
Yes. So I'm getting about 30 to 40 IVR mortgage leads, and I'm
Okay.
getting about 100, and that's a week. And I'm getting about 100 internet data leads a week as well.
So what does that run you for your weekly lead bill?
About $1 a week.
Pretty standard.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, if you guys extrapolate those numbers, I mean, 40 families helped. That'll get you to the Hall of Fame if you do it consistently, 10, 11, 12 months.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. And, we recognize people are people, and sometimes it's not always consecutively every single 12 months, but that's why you got 12 months.
Right.
But yeah, everyone says, like, if you want to hit Hall of Fame, you gotta spend like dollars a week on leads. And if you can do that, and does it really matter what type of leads?
No, it doesn't.
Just wanted to I already knew that answer. I just wanted to have you reaffirm that for everybody.
You can't go wrong, because if you look at it, 100 new fresh leads plus 30 to 40 additional mortgage high intent leads, because you're paying $35 on those.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about 100 internet data, what type? Because I heard you on Monday, you were calling like ethos, abandoned lead cards.
Yeah, ethos, abandoned lead
You were
cards.
calling like instant leads before, diamond leads, H leads.
Yep.
What type of variety do you like, or anything specific?
Dude, all of them. Yeah, so I'll run a mixture of the mortgage and a mixture of ethos abandoned cart leads, as well as instance 1 month.
And not to share your secrets, you're licensed in 25 states. Do you pick one? Because I mean, there's leads everywhere, right? Do you have a specific? Do you have any favorite states? I would say.
I like Missouri. I don't know why. I don't know.
You picked the middle one. I like the middle states.
I like that. Yeah.
Do you go by the heat map and look? Let's see, where's a huge concentration? Does that help influence your decision?
Yeah. I ran Missouri mortgage like a year ago.
Okay.
And then I kept my license. So now I'm just like, okay, I'll just get internet leads there and work out of those.
Yeah, sometimes it's not even personal preference. It's more of like great experience from it. Like you had multiple sales in one state, and I favor this state over the other.
Yeah, it's
all biases we develop.
It's all exactly.
We have one old coworker from our old company. She's our good friend. She hates our city of Bellflower. She's like, I can't sell in Bellflower. I love Whittier. I love this part. Yeah, and it's down the street from each other.
Dude, that's funny.
Well, we all develop these little quirky like idiosyncrasies along the way.
Yeah.
So it's hard for people to convince us otherwise.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if it serves you, like, and you have other alternatives, great. But if other people are doing it within the same parameters, like it's probably you.
Yeah. And then now you start building cognitive biases and stuff. And like, man, it's true. This is really what's happening. Missouri's great. This other state sucks. I'm not going to buy anything from there.
What advice would you give to an agent that's struggling? Because you've been there. Appreciate the transparency, by the way.
Yeah. You mentioned just recently you had like a lull.
Yeah.
Production.
Yeah, dude. It's a roller coaster. If you don't control yourself, like, I would tell a producer that's struggling is like, hey, dude, a lot of times we're too self-critical. I guess some people maybe aren't self-critical enough. But if you can take responsibility for where you're at in your own business, you should, because that's how you make it. That's how you fix it. once you can take responsibility for where you are in the business, and if you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out to me, reach out to Albert, reach out to John, reach out to people for help on how to work your way out of the position of struggling. Like, I've been up and down this roller coaster so many times over the last 2 years that I understand that, like I said earlier, this business is fun when you're talking to people about insurance. The only times it's not fun is when you stopped talking to people about insurance. So if you can just get back to the basics of, okay, I'm going to get 100 leads. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to make 400 dials today, or I'm going to book 15 appointments. If you can set daily activity-based goals like that, it's really hard to not go out and make 500 phone calls a week and not find some laydowns. That's always been my goal. That's still my goal today, because I don't consider myself the best presentation maker. I'm not that great at sales, but I'm really okay with sitting down, dialing the phone to go find some laydowns, because I don't think we sell insurance. I think people just buy it. Truthfully, like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And there's always a certain number of people in any lead stack that are going to buy insurance and are just waiting for you to call. Most people just aren't willing to sit down and make the dials to find them. And I can tell you guys that because I've been in so many points in this business where I have debt with America, or I got chargebacks, and I got like less than $1,000 to my name. And I'm like, dude, I need to make some money, Albert. And I sat down and I dialed old leads that I already bought and already worked. And I find 1 or 2 laydowns that I missed. And, at one time I booked this family in Hesperia, 5 minutes from my house. And I went to their house, and I was at a low point in the business, and it was a laydown. I helped him and hers I helped over 4 families in that house, over 4 applications, Americo, all immediate issue, immediate deposit. So put me right back into the business. And I've done that so many times, Albert, that I know it's just a matter of, okay, I got to hit these daily activity-based minimums to go sell the laydowns so I can stay in business next week.
Isn't it funny? Because like you go through those moments when you're struggling, and then all of a sudden you things fall your way, and you get make some sales, and you're just like, man, if I only just been doing this the whole time, or I don't let myself fall into this position again and fall behind, I wouldn't have to deal with this. I'm not going to have this happen again. And then, of course you do it again, because that's just how we are.
Yeah, dude.
And then you got to build up to until you get to the point where, you have these good habits.
Yeah, dude. And for the longest time, for 2 years, the most families I had helped was like 25. And I'm seeing people put up all these crazy numbers, and I'm like, how in the world are they doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have no idea how to do this. Like, I was so self-critical and self-analytical. And what I realized was, well, one, I just had to double my lead investment. And 2, doing it virtually helped me in order to help break past that too, because I'm able to spend more time running more presentations. But dude, it's 100% possible to break through the barrier that you think you have in this business. It's 100% possible. The only thing is you have to stay here long enough in order to break through it. And a lot of times I've seen so many people who have done way more than me. And I thought, man, I can never do that much. Well, they're not here anymore. I am.
Right.
And
take
that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
No, it's all a mental game, because I mean, it's not that people don't have the ability to do it. It's just they hit a rut in their mind, and then they tell themselves, like, that's the story they've created in their head.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this, or this is too tough. Where in reality, it's like your thinking is just broken. That's all it really comes down to. As far as the function, it's like, keep yourself busy, talk to enough people about insurance, get enough leads. You'll find the laydowns. And I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, or you're being a little too humble in the situation. You're not one of those like high pressure, like aggressive, like type of closers. But the thing is, it doesn't mean that you can't sell. It's just, why wouldn't you take all the laydowns that comes with the activity, and then influence the other ones that are kind of on the fence?
Yeah.
And I think it's a matter of his grit and resiliency compared to other people. Like sometimes you can have the high skill, but what's really great for him, he took away the professional salesman skill. He's building the professional appointment and disciplined appointment setting skills. And if he can control that, then it doesn't matter what he says. He has enough people to sell. He has enough expectancy on the laydowns.
Dude, 100%.
Right?
You're working from a position of power rather than working from a position of need.
Yes.
But that's real. I think that's really encouraging to hear that from, that you helped over 45 families and you struggled the previous months or thought about quitting. And because I think that part of the business is not really exposed too often. People just look at it's you're looking at all the top producers and you're like, well, I must be doing something wrong, but you're not looking at their entire picture. I mean, they're dealing with problems that you're not willing to deal with right now.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we just got to be realistic about that and just kind of set those expectations for ourselves and just understand where you stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can go back, so, you said April, May, you started having a change, but June is what changed. And you said it made it more fun again. So what triggered in your mind? What mind shift, what outlook or perspective that made you want to dial?
Dude, so I started doing things outside of insurance. So I started like auditioning for short films. I started, I applied back to school. Like I wanted to get back into theater. So it was just starting those things and then moving down to Fullerton. Like that was the goal, is I wanted to move down here. So that gave me even more incentive to sell in June.
It costs more down here.
It costs more down here. Yeah, moving is expensive. And I was like, thank God for insurance. I don't know what I would have done without it. So, all these little costs add up once you start moving. You're like, oh man, I got to keep the U-Haul another day. Oops. My car battery died.
Okay, so I see it now. So you got a new fresh excitement somewhere else that carried it over here.
Yeah, that gave me even more incentive to be able to work hard because, it was more than just like dialing the day away.
Yeah.
It became more about like, okay, now this is my time. This is my set structure to dial. This is my set structure to do the things that I'm really passionate about. And it kind of gave me incentive to work harder at both.
You rediscovered a new why.
Right. Yeah. You were like before at the start, what am I working Hall of Fame for? Now you're like, I need to pay for my tuition for my acting classes. I gotta work.
I want to get into this acting class. I gotta sell some insurance.
There you go.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I think it's pretty ironic that the second you stop trying so hard to be chasing Hall of Fame and someone else's goal, and you started just doing things, focusing on the activities, and then all of a sudden, like your production more than doubled.
Yeah, dude, that was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy.
Okay. Well, so being that there was different versions of Sam, let's focus on this 45 in a month, the good Sam.
Yeah.
All right, the high producing Sam. What's your routine look like during that time?
Okay, so wake up 5:30 or 5 actually. Hit the gym, work out, get back home, shower, dial if it's a dial day, hop on the phones 7:30, start dialing to book appointments, dial from 7:30 to 12, get off, go eat food, and then take a little bit of a break, and then hop back on the phones around 2:00, 3:00, and dial till about 7. Usually I'm sitting around pretty good between 15 to 18 appointments around at the end of the day, doing that, sitting around 300 to 400 dials. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, easy days virtually because I have appointments. I don't have to dial the phone again. If I get no showed or if I'm behind on my appointment count, I have an hour to dial until my next appointment. So that's what I would do, is I would do that for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, same thing, Friday, Saturday. And then the cool thing is with virtual, man, is like once my day's done. I don't have to drive home. I'm already home, So it gave me more time to spend with my family and to spend on the things that I want to do. And I was able to work in my 30 appointments a week in between all that stuff. And it definitely felt like work-life balance, I guess. There's never balance, but we could call it that here,
Yeah. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. And then lastly, aside from money, Sam, what do you do this for?
I like being able to help my mom. because she's on disability, so she doesn't, she needs help every now and then. But dude, like, I lost my dad when I was 19, so I know life insurance is important.
Did he have life insurance?
Yeah, he had a work policy, but he passed away very quickly, so it actually paid out before the disability ran out, so he was covered at the time. So I know how important it is, and I actually do enjoy it. Like, I enjoy the work. Like, I feel like you feel fulfilled when you're working hard and you're accomplishing activities, or you're getting like, I said I was going to do 300 dials today. I made that a goal last night and I got it done.
Yeah, you felt productive.
You feel productive and you feel like a good worker. And it's really cool. Like, we're really blessed to be able to show our families what we can bring in and what we can provide for them. I'm able to help, not provide, but I'm able to help, take care of my girlfriend if she needs it too. We live together. So,
Okay.
it's just, it feels good to be able to do that. And we're really, really lucky. Like, dude, if you look at like what normal people bring in a year or what they can make a month and what we can do, we're really, really lucky. Like, we need to not be negative and not be complaining, just because we're going through a hard patch or a hard week. Like, we need to, if we can focus on being grateful and focus on gratitude and have that reflect back into our work, sky's the limit, dude.
Love it. Okay, well,
sorry, that was my soapbox.
No. I mean, I think that's exactly what a lot of people needed to hear. So, so first of all, I appreciate you coming in. We're happy to have Sam, around more often, and we'll definitely have you on again. For all of you guys, I mean, look, if you guys have been through your ups and downs, this is another prime example of what you can do if you just stick with it long enough. Focus, get refocused on the things in which you got into this business for. Take Sam's lead, and then just go out there and just focus on the activities that you actually can control. There's lay down sales for all of us out there.
Right.
100%.
The only thing is you need to have enough leads and you need to have enough appointments. So that part starts with you. And you gotta be willing to invest in your business. You gotta be willing to put in your work, and then after that, let everything else kind of just take its course, and then keep learning from there. Anything else you want to add?
No, focus on the activity, like what Sam is saying. Figure out your role, and then figure out what excites you. If you get excited, you're excited to work. You're excited to make money. You're excited to spend the money.
So let's go out there and let's go do the same. Let's go be elite, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good one.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys once again for supporting. If you guys want to see more of that, please make sure you like, subscribe, click on this link here to subscribe, click on this link for the next video.